Hello and welcome to the tutorial on ribbing. What ribbing is essentially a way to take a model like we have here. For instance, this is a surface in Rhino. We can sort of reinterpolate that surface using a series of ribs. So what we're going to go through now is the process to get to something like this physical object. We're starting off in Rhino. We have our model set up. There's nothing else in the file. And the first thing we want to do is look at our dimensions. So with the end snap enabled, I've got a 3 by 3 block. So now the dimension that we want to scale this up to is pretty critical because it's going to be a real world dimension. And since we're going to be printing on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, I'd say that we probably want to make this about 9 inches in any one dimension, so that that'll fit across our page when we go to print it. So we're going to select everything and use our scale 3D. Set the origin at one of the corners, and then I'm just going to type 3, and that will increase it 3 times. So now we have a 9 by 9 area that we're going to use. And I'm going to just drag this off of the origin a little bit. I'm also going to go ahead and just get rid of these dimensions for now. So now what we're going to do is run the contour command. We're going to do that in our top view. So make sure your object is visible, and we're just going to type contour and press enter to start. And it asks me to select the object. So that's my object. I'm doing this in top view. You want to make sure that this option up here that says join curves is set to by contour plane. If it's not, just left click on that and make sure that this is selected so it's by contour plane. So that's my object. My base point, I'm going to snap to the end of this surface, left click, and then the second snap, I think we already went through this in the class. If I do this in my top view, you'll notice that in front view it's actually not horizontal, but it actually goes up a little bit because it's snapping to that part of the surface. So I want to just extend beyond a little bit. Doesn't matter where. This is just giving the command a direction. So I'm hitting my shift key in my top view, and I'm going to left click again. And now it's asking me for the distance between the contours. And if I were to type, let's say 2 for instance, and enter, you'll notice that it starts at the very beginning here, and these are 2 units across, but it doesn't quite get that last portion because this is 9 inches in total. I want to make sure that, in this case, let's say I want that final contour to be on the object. How do I do that? I'm going to just undo that. I'm going to start my calculator. I need a number that's going to be divisible by this dimension. This is 9 right now. Let's say I want 5 contours in total going across. Well, I would do 9 divided by 5, and that gives me 1.8. So 1.8 is the value that I want for the spacing. I'm going to restart that last command. I can just right click, select my object, set my start point, and then shift and off of it a little bit. And so the distance, I'm actually going to just type 1.8 and enter. And that way it actually gives me contours that run through the whole object. I'm going to rerun this command now. Again, I'm going to select the surface, and that's going to be my starting point. And this time, instead of going across this way, I want to go up. So that's up, and I'm going to use the same value because it's a square. When I'm done, if I look in perspective view, I can now see that I've got my contours running in both directions. We don't need the surface for now, so I'm just going to select it and hide it. So just left click on the light bulb. Now we have our sets of lines, and you'll notice Actually, let's see here. Yeah. You'll notice that I'm not sure why I have a curve here. Why do I have a curve there? I'm not sure why I have this sort of stray curve. I'm just going to get rid of that. And I should have just a set of curves for each of these contours, and they're all joined because we use that option. And again, I have an extra curve there, so I'm going to get rid of that as well. And so these are all just individual curves. Now for the next step, I'm going to go to Surface, Planar Curves, and select the planar curves to build the surfaces. I'm going to just select everything, press Enter, and now I have a set of surfaces built off of those curves. And now before we go on, I want to select all the curves in here. So I'm going to type Cell Curve, SEL CRV, and that selects all the curves in the file. And I'm just going to hit Delete. So now I just have surfaces here. There's no more curves in the file at this point here. This will make things a little bit easier, I think. All right, so now what we're going to do is take a script called Cut My Own Ribs, version 2. You should be able to find this on the class website. You can download that, extract it, put it on your desktop. What we're going to do is take this and drop it into the file. And it basically starts up a small little program that's asking me to select the ribs in the X direction. And to do this easily, you're going to go into your top view. And the X direction is, the X direction is actually all the surfaces that run in this direction like this, going across. So I could select them one by one, or if I have a bunch of them, I could simply drag and select and make sure that you start on the right side when you go to start your drag and move towards your left. And that will select everything that's encompassed in that selection. Anything that gets touched by that selection gets selected. So you can see right now in the perspective view, all those surfaces are selected. Press Enter when done. And I'm going to do the same thing for my Y direction. Press Enter. And now it's asking me for the material thickness. And this is asking me what thickness of material am I going to be cutting out these ribs out of in the end. If it were a 1/2 inch piece of plywood, I would type 0.5 for 1/2 inch. If it were cardboard, depends on what dimension that cardboard is. Let's say it's a 1/4 inch. I'm going to type 0.25 and press Enter. It just ran its script. So if we look at this now in our perspective view, you'll notice that it's actually notched out these sections for us. And it's notched them out for both the top and the bottom. So if I were to go in here now and dimension between one of these, that's a 1/4 inch, right? Same thing on the bottom here. That's a 1/4 inch as well. So it's accounting for, it's basically removing a certain amount of material that we're going to be using physically afterwards. Maybe I'll just stop the video here and I'll see you guys at the next one. Thanks.